Hi, everybody. It's been a minute. Actually, I think it's been about 2 months since I last posted anything here, and I do apologize. It's been, well, I had started doing cooking streams, cooking and booking, and it's just been too warm to cook a lot of days. So, yeah, you can see all my stuff behind me. I have everything out of storage, and I am loath to unpack, unfortunately, because I found out the place is roaches, which is not. But Garbaugust is coming, so I guess sitting in the middle of a trash heap is probably the perfect thing for it, right? That's why I'm leaving all my books packed too. I'm gonna seal them up in garbage bags and sprinkle diatomaceous earth all over everything, and hopefully nothing will nest in there. And then once we've got the all clear for the bugs, then that'll be. Then I can unpack. So anyway, I have been doing some reading, don't worry. So I wrote down all the books that I've read since I last checked in. Now I had started, last time I talked to you with the Sad Eyes, which is the Christina Applegate autobiography. It was really good. Shocking, heartbreaking, a really interesting look at what it's like to go from being a child actress to having tremendous amount of fame, to all the problems that she's had later in life. I thought it dragged a little bit when she started going on about her relationship problems, because I don't really care that much about that. But the rest of it was really good. It's definitely worth a listen. I listened to the audiobook, and I thought the Christina Applegate's reading, obviously as an actress, and the fact that most of the story was taken from her journals that she kept along the way. I thought it was really interesting that she kept such a meticulous account of how she was feeling and processing everything as she went. That was a really smart move. Sorry, my throat's a little dry. Now, May is usually reserved for horror books. And it's also Asian American History Month. So in May, I read East End Girls by Rena Mason. And I also read Mayhem by Sarah Pinborough. Now, those are interesting because they're both different angles on who could have been Jack the Ripper. So, and they're both set around the time of the Jack the Ripper case. And they both have interesting takes. Although I think the East End Girls one was a lot more fun. Mayhem, I found a little bit of a drag. It was kind of dull, and not a whole lot really interesting happened till the end, so I think it probably could have been a novella. Like, it could have been a much shorter book, but don't come for me. And I also read Brother by Ania Ahlborn, and I read Seed right after that, also by Ania Ahlborn, which was, I believe, her first novel. And it was a pretty good creepy child story. And then Brother is about a young man whose family is a bunch of cannibalistic serial killers. So he's trying to escape that because he meets a girl he likes. And it's a really fun story. Well, fun. For its subject matter, it's a fun read. And then I also read Yellowface by, I think the author's name is R.F. Kuang. And it's a story about a woman who, she's had a mild amount of success as an author, but her schoolmate has been much more successful. And then when her schoolmate suddenly dies and she's with her, this young author finds an unfinished manuscript, finishes it, and publishes it as her own. And the reason it's called Yellowface is that the author, his name is Juniper, she's never claimed to be Chinese, but she is taking on the persona of an author writing about a Chinese subject, and she changes her name from June. I can't remember what her last name is, like Hawthorne or Hillstrom or something. Begins with an H anyway, and but she changes her name to Juniper Song, which is actually her middle name. She says, "Oh, I never pretended to be Chinese." But not a good idea. But it is an interesting look at cultural appropriation and the idea of, does somebody, I mean, is it appropriate or not to tell a story about a culture that's not your own? So, and then also, the backlash of social media and cancel culture, and it's a really, it was a pretty good read, although I wouldn't call it a horror story. Now, the books that I didn't finish, I started listening to the audiobook of The Collected Works of Billy the Kid by Michael Ondaatje, which is a poetry collection, and I actually have the physical book somewhere, somewhere in all the boxes. And it's a series of poems based around, written from collective stories and archives and photographs and so on that could realistically be a look at Billy the Kid's last days. I think it's an ambitious project. It's an interesting project, and Michael Ondaatje is always he's just got this wonderful way with words. But it didn't really work for me as an audiobook, so I will try to read the book, and yeah, I kept falling asleep, unfortunately. And then the other book that I've started, which I may finish before the end of GARBAUGUST, which is coming, I'm so excited, is The Executioner's Song by Norman Mailer. Somebody that should have been canceled. If I finish that one, I'll review it for GARBAUGUST, because although it won the Pulitzer, so it's not actually considered trash fiction, in its own way, I think true crime tends to be considered a little bit more trashy than other types of books. Sorry, the dog's here. I think that's everything, and I am currently working on Goddess of Vengeance by Jackie Collins, which is, I think, book 7 or 9 or something of the San Angelo series by Jackie Collins. Now, last year I read Vendetta, Lucky's Revenge, and then the one after that, which the title I can't even remember. And I also, the next one, there's, I think, 2 more in there. So one is Drop Dead Gorgeous, Drop Dead Beautiful, something like that. And it's about her daughter Max getting abducted. And I remember reading that around the time my mom passed away. She had the paperback. But on Kindle, you have Goddess of Vengeance is over here. It's like $2.99. You have some books that are on Kindle Unlimited, which I can read with my membership. And then you've got the ones that are $22, $28. Like, no, I'm not spending $28 for an ebook of a Jackie Collins novel. No, not going to happen. So I did miss 1 or 2 in there. And then there's also an LA series, which I'd like to pick up. And speaking of GARBAUGUST, I'm so excited because, this is always my favorite time of the year. And look at what I got for this year. Reconcile by Bruce Campbell. It's a Western. And it says, my mother Joanne loved the Western genre. She read every Zane Grey novel he ever wrote. I know because I drew stick figure cartoons in the margins of her massive paperback collection. Westerns, by nature, are riddled with cliches. The steely-eyed, unshaven hero protecting innocent pioneers from brutal, unforgiving savages. With Reconcile, I tried to sidestep many of the cliche elements we've read or seen in Westerns for generations. Reality isn't tidy or reliable. Reality has unpleasant circumstances that don't always resolve themselves like they do in the movies. In the heat of battle, the good guys and bad guys aren't so easily defined. In the sprawling history of the American West, I'd like to think a different kind of story was possible, and I hope you enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to that for GARBAUGUST. And one of the things I was sort of playing around with in terms of planning for GARBAUGUST is maybe a focus on books written by celebrities. So I have the audiobook for that. I think it's called something Run Romeo something Rabbit. I don't know. And it's by James Patterson and Dolly Parton. Really looking forward to that one. I've got a book co-authored by Norman Reedus. And I've got a novel by Steve Martin. Now, I read Shop Girl, so I know Steve Martin's a pretty good writer. And I've also got, there is a book by Nicole Ritchie, and it's called The Truth About Diamonds, and I might pick up a Kardashian book or two, so we'll have to see how much time I have. And yes, I would still like to go back to cooking and booking. I have the Lucky San Angelo cookbook, and there is a flourless chocolate cake that looks absolutely divine, except that they recommend Godiva cocoa powder, and that's like $30. So I'm going with the great value, and hopefully it'll be just as good. For my plebeian taste, probably, you know, and maybe trash versions of the recipes, right? So we'll see what happens. Opening up 3 cans of something. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for me for now. I guess the last life update is that, you know, I'm fully moved in. I have to prepare for a pest control spray, which I'm not happy about. And I have started, and I got a grant for leisure activities through the city, and I've started taking swimming lessons at my advanced age. Why not, right? And it is, by the way, it is absolutely amazing. So if you get a chance to go swimming this summer, absolutely go for it. It feels so good, cools you off. If you have joint problems like I do, it just helps so much, and it's good for the soul. Good for the soul, good for the body. And yeah, and I'm also hoping, get this, I'm also at my advanced stage, they offer community piano lessons, so why not, right? Maybe I'll do a learn music with me thread or something one of these days, but we'll see what happens. So, looking forward to Garb August, and I will see you probably on the other side of August, and I hope you're reading lots of horror. Have a great day.